Hi, everybody. Welcome to Friday's edition of Political Head Trauma. We're a little bit early today, but we're glad you joined us. We hope that you read the message earlier and are jumping on with us. So while we get situated, make sure that everyone can jump in.
Yeah, it's pre-show time.
I am Holly Crowley Ray Bonnie, and this is Jared Anderson. And this is Political Head Trauma, and we are so excited. I don't know about you, but I think our country is having the greatest week since its founding.
There is a lot of stuff, but we're
gonna get into all of it. But I'm just talking overall when it comes to hope and it comes to being heard and strength in the nation and in the world. I don't know if I'm alone, but and you guys tell us what you think. Because I know not everyone agrees with this president, and there's some executive orders that I'm sitting back going, I'm a little concerned about, which we'll get into. However, Donald Trump has had someone on his campaign from the very beginning that has documented everything promise he made on the campaign trail, every rally, every interview. This person's sole job was to document Trump's promises. And that person is still with Trump while he's president, and Trump is checking them off one by one. He's going off of his own words to the American people. This is amazing.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. His pardons of the January 6ers. And Ross Ulbricht, and
that made the libertarians very happy.
That's a promise he made to him, and he kept his promise, which is not very common.
No, it is not common.
So I'm pretty happy about that.
And Ross Ulbricht did serve 10 years?
10 or 11.
He's been in 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
I bet he could tell us right down to the days. But he was given 2 life sentences plus 40 years under the Obama administration.
You want to hear the wildest thing is the agents who investigated him.
They got clean hands, I bet.
They went to prison right after.
Weird.
So what happened? They went to prison for stealing, for theft of some of the stuff that they were
collecting?
Yes.
You mean evidence?
Some of the evidence, as in Bitcoin, I think.
Yeah, because this guy had $104,000 Bitcoin. If you can even imagine that.
Well, back then, that Bitcoin was seized by the FBI, and then when was it? In 2017 when they had that big Bitcoin drop where it went from, it was up to like 54. And they dropped it, went down to like 20 something. Trying to remember.
Yeah, that would have been the last 2 years.
That was when the FBI dumped all that Bitcoin on the market to, conspiracy theory. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, because
quotes around that.
I actually believe our government probably has Bitcoin.
Well, it all got dumped on the market all at once, which rattled the Bitcoin. I don't know, whatever. Dave can say all the words. Met some cool people on this trip. I met a lady down in Utah County. She is a county clerk, maybe. I don't know. But she runs some of her elections on blockchain. The vet elections and was it some disabled election? She did those on blockchain as a test of theory.
What's a disabled election?
Or disabled voter.
So a certain type of voter.
Yes. So she didn't do a lot, but she ran it on there as a kind of a test of theory. And so it was, 15,000 people or something.
How'd it work? She talked about it. Is she going to be on the show?
Yes. We'll have her on over the next month to talk about it.
So our very own Jared Anderson was live with his partner Katie, and they went to Washington D.C. and they got to be front and center for the inauguration, as close as they could be, mind you.
Front and center in a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, we have to let people know. The plan was we were all going, and Friday before, when Jared was actually in Denver, I got a call from Celeste Malloy, our congresswoman. Graciously gave us tickets. Mm-hmm. The second tickets came out, we got tickets. She is incredible. And I end up giving a couple of my tickets to our partner, David Weiss, as well as Ty, our county councilman. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so grateful. So I would like to make this public gratitude moment to Brian, Celeste's
Brian Wheat,
deputy, Chief of Staff.
He is
Brian Wheat.
He's an awesome dude, fellow shooter.
He's the best.
He's going to come out. They're going to come out. We're going to do a spring podcast from the range.
Excellent. Can we use big bad weapons?
We can use whatever.
Let's get some.
Whatever you can find in my case over there.
Actually, your case that was in the ocean when you went boating?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, wait. We don't have to go boating anymore.
No.
We got a new president, folks.
But
we'll see. I never say that. But let me finish what I was saying. Brian Wheat and Celeste Malloy made it possible for many, many Utah citizens to get to DC. Mike Lee's camp was giving tickets also to people. And so Mike Lee's campaign was very, very supportive.
Well, all the Congress people will. I just want to throw out there, and I know Celeste is real quiet about this, but there was this little meetup at the it was Sunday night. There was this meetup at the Credit Union House, I believe it's called. So it's this old house that all of Utah's delegation or group or whatever got to meet up there and get their swag bags. And John Curtis was there, got to speak with him, got a verbal promise from him to come on the show.
Yeah, and I've spoken with him since.
We'll see how that pans out because senators are slippery things.
It's going to happen. I spoke with his campaign manager, and I reached out about the nuclear energy the governor just signed.
And that's what we really need to focus on because they are building a nuclear plant.
He's committed to come remotely, and he's happy to give us some of his time. And honestly, he actually did a press release. The reason I reached out, because he did a press release for Utah delegates that have requested it. I think the Utah citizen can go in and request it on the email. But his press release just explains how he is supporting Trump's nominees. He doesn't understand why the media has said that he's not. They've grouped him in with a number of Democrats. And he said, I am researching and interviewing every single one. And I plan on supporting this president and supporting the direction that the president is trying to go in, just like he promised us, the voter. So we can all rest easy in Utah because the media made it sound like that Curtis was headed for the Romney side of politics. And I think John Curtis is headed for the logical side of politics. People say Mike Lee is too extreme and he's too conservative. I'll take it. I love that. I want a constitutionalist representing me. If I'm going to have anybody that's not so conservative, I know John Curtis was a Democrat, as our last guest reminded us from she has his job now.
Yeah.
But his policy is common sense, and his policy is about the American progress, but also about the American spirit and about the ability to lead with strength in the world. And I am here for it.
Well, I'm excited to interview him, have him on, have him talk about what his kind of his North Star is. But anyway, Celeste, everyone had swag bags there, but Celeste, not only was she there when her and Curtis was there, Mike Lee didn't make it before I left. And I'm starting to think that he's not a real human being, that he's a fictitious individual. I have met him once, but was that a hologram? I don't know.
He was on an airplane.
Anyways,
with me. We had lots of chats.
And then Burgess Owens wasn't there, and Kennedy. I didn't get to meet them either. But
Kennedy was there. I saw photos of him.
Maybe Kennedy was there, and I didn't get to meet him. I'm bummed about that. We need to get him on. We've never had him or Burgess. But Celeste, not only was she there, but she opened the door for everyone coming there.
That just does not surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
So
And
check out the interview that Jared got to do with her right after the inauguration on Tuesday.
Well, let me get back to this. And so we're there, we're meeting. They had cupcakes. They had good Mormon safe stuff, cupcakes and Coca-Cola. Food there is way too expensive, and I have to say the service was the real downfall of every restaurant we went to.
I think it's because they hate you.
They might hate me.
People of DC hate Republicans.
I'm not there as a Republican, though.
You're there.
I'm just.
They want you protesting, and that's it.
Ooh, we did run in. I've got them somewhere. I've got 3 communist newspapers from the Communist Party USA.
In our capital city. How
yes,
great.
they're marching. That was fantastic. I asked the girl, if we were in a communist country, could you make this? And she froze up. Because that's an interesting theory, like, could you make an independent paper in a communist country where everything made has to be approved by committee of the state?
You can, as long as it's what the word of the state is saying.
But would the state want something that's antithetical to the current government? No,
absolutely not.
So that's what you're looking at. Anyway, so maybe I pulled someone out of being a moron. I'm hoping so.
Okay. I just wanted to say about Friday when I got the call, you were still in the airport, stuck in Denver.
Yes.
And I got the call from Brian Wheat's group, just from Celeste's office, that said they've moved the president. Now, I have to tell you openly and honestly, and I told Jared this, I was very concerned about attending, mostly for the safety of the president. I was worried. I know it was bitter, bitter cold. And that was what they said they were moving him for. And they can say that. They did that in 1985 with Ronald Reagan, and they will do what they have to do. But I called Jared or texted him and I said, they've moved Donald Trump inside. That's great for the president. I love it. But now for all the people going to DC, there's no national mall gathering where they can see the president. The jumbotrons go all the way back to Lincoln. None of that was happening. They had ticket holders actually go to designated areas to watch on a jumbotron. Very, very few people got to be in the actual hall. And I mean, only like electeds, maybe their chosen partner.
I think only limited electeds, but Hillary was in there and Pelosi. So
Pelosi wasn't there.
Pelosi was in there.
Where?
She was just if you're him, just to his left, sitting there.
No. The lady, I swear, Nancy Pelosi didn't come. She said she wasn't coming. Michelle Obama didn't come.
No, she didn't. Hillary was there, so I'm sure it smelled like sulfur.
I actually think that Biden and that regime is worse than Hillary. At least Hillary knew not to go to war. I mean, at least Hillary said stop funding a war in Ukraine. And that's pretty crazy coming from her. But she said about stop protesting Israel. They have to be our partners. We can't turn on them now. Just put Nancy Pelosi.
Am I thinking Klobuchar was Pelosi?
Klobuchar was to his right, and she was the host of the national, the whole inauguration.
Maybe she wasn't there. Maybe
she will not attend.
Oh, I was incorrect. Oh, she's in a walker now. Oh, good. I guess.
What about that Justice Sotomayor?
What about her?
Did you see her?
I didn't.
Oh my goodness. She looks like she's aged 25 years. I know she's been battling with some illness, but man, she talked about retiring under Biden. And so that Biden could select someone to replace her, and she did not want to.
Well, Ruth Bader Ginsburg did the same thing. They won't give up any of their power.
Yeah.
And so they maintain their power, and then it's too late. And then.
Well, it's bad for them, but, we may see, my favorite, he may go down this year. He may stop and retire. He wasn't going to do it with
who?
Clarence Thomas.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was looking at retirement, but wouldn't even discuss it under Biden and said he wouldn't do it.
Let's say he does. Here's a big question. Will they? So he replaced Thurgood Marshall. So they selected a black man to replace Thurgood
Not
Marshall.
a black man. Thomas is one of the most conservative.
He is.
Constitutionalist.
He is. And it was open. They wanted to replace. They wanted to continue to give a voice to black people.
Right.
They wanted that representation, and that was under Bush 1, wasn't it?
Reagan, I think.
Or under Reagan. And so will they? I think they should, but will they do that again? I think they should.
That's
I think
DEI. If you look for someone, you have to look for merit.
still
Clarence Thomas had the merit.
You can find merit and the color, but I think they should, because I think you really want to have that aspirational representation also. And
absolutely.
and now I sound like a DEI guy.
No, I know what you're saying. You're saying when you're pulling the pool for the merit-based candidates, you want to pull also people who understand a different type of lifestyle and childhood and structure and tradition. I think that, we have a black woman, but we know that there's a lot of conservatives in the black
she's their
ballot.
DEI because they said.
Absolutely.
But
they also, I guess, back then it was, oh, he's an easy choice. They didn't make it easy on him, if you remember.
Joe Biden did not make it easy on him.
Yeah, well, no one did. I still remember his trials, and I was a kid. Remember the pubic hair on the Coke can? That's just indented, engraved in my head. But out of the recommendations to the president, he checked a number of boxes. And I think that what you're saying is that only makes him more qualified to be a voice on the Supreme Court. His childhood, his experience, and as a black man, who a lot of people of color have conservative values and believe in the Constitution and its plan. So when that was changed, when they moved him inside, airfare didn't drop in price. That was for sure. But hotel rates, hotels were they were losing people. Boom, boom, boom. So you could get a hotel rate, because the hotel I was looking at, the lowest price was $300 a night. Then it jumped up to $900 Sunday night and Monday night. And then $600 on Tuesday, $300 on Wednesday. The hotels in DC, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just the night, just like Vegas. It's a lot cheaper to get a room in Vegas on Sunday night and Monday night than it is on a Friday or Saturday.
Sadly, I'd already paid for my hotel. So.
Right.
And
because everyone canceled, a lot of people canceled when it was moved indoors. And the cold it wasn't record breaking. I think it was 7 degrees that morning.
It was chilly. It wasn't record. Now, Katie will tell you it was the coldest on earth that the earth has ever been, because she doesn't like the cold, and we were there walking around in it. But
it's the wind, I think, that gets you off the Potomac.
That wind was blown in our face when we were walking from that Hunan dynasty. We walked from there up on the backside. They had the whole area fenced off, so we were on the backside of the Cannon building, walking up.
Did you have to have tickets to get through the fence? Was there any checkpoints?
You would have had to have tickets to get through, but nobody went through. Everybody that was in there was either a billionaire or an elected official.
Right. That would be the VIP entrance then.
And there were not a lot of people in there, but our tickets, we were on, what did they call it? West, whatever standing. You were orange and I was yellow gates. It was a whole setup. I've got your stuff there.
I know, he brought me back my
you even got hand warmers. So grab that
Celeste,
white bag.
Thank you, but Jared, thank you.
Yeah, Celeste built it. She put hand warmers in there because she knew it was going to be cold, and I think everyone was hoping. I don't know if they pulled them in for security. They might have. They had plenty of area cover.
Can I just say this? Not everybody that attended got things like this. This
Not
our
even
congresswoman made this so special.
that's where I was
for
going.
Utah.
Okay, back to the credit union house. Everyone else had envelopes. She had bags. Like that bag was inside of a bigger bag.
That is so great.
She had like swag bags, like hand warmers are in there, little bracelets, the rubber
Yes.
bracelets.
I got an official seal of the House of Representatives.
You got actually a couple of them in there.
Yeah.
It's stickers for
Hand warmers,
for you to give to kids or
bracelets.
stick on stuff. Yeah.
And thankfully, our local council, a lot of members were there from the council.
I think all of our county council was there.
Was Kendall and Eric there?
Oh, no. Well, no, I don't think so.
But I was able to give my tickets to our county councilman.
To Ty.
And that I love that. Tooele County was represented. And then please, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch Jared's interview with Celeste.
The sound
and
is hot garbage.
I love that she said you guys didn't plan your outfits, because that's the first thing I said to my husband. I'm like, do you think that they planned this? Do you think she just found a jacket in her closet and said, hey, I'll hurry and match him real quick? Because that was so amazing. Both of them were wearing gold.
Black and yellow. Or I was wearing black and yellow. She was wearing a yellow jacket. Let me just say this. Everybody, there's a testament to her as to how her office personnel and her interns feel about her. And they love her. So that's just that. They love her. She is, she's very open and honest, and, and we've made it clear there's times she's voted I didn't agree with her, but she's still going to carry my vote until she decides not to run. Because, unless there's someone that's even cooler than her to run, but she's fantastic. I want to say this, DC, your people are great. I think you need to work on some of your restaurant etiquette. And so many times we got ripped off, but I love the people.
DC is
the people
so expensive.
The people were fantastic. Everywhere I went, enjoyed all the people. Now, the coolest part of the whole thing.
Oh, thank you, David. Hi, David.
After that interview, Celeste's office, Celeste and Brian had to go to do a vote or something.
Tuesday after the inauguration.
They had to do something.
Busy.
They had to go vote. But her interns tried to take us over to the Capitol building, but it was closed. So then one of them, he's one of the, maybe not interns now, because he's actually a paid employee now. He took us on. We got a private, maybe possibly not on the up and up tour of the Library of Congress.
Oh, they let you in the back room and let you go through the documents?
No, we didn't do that because that part was closed. There was nobody else there but us.
You guys.
Like, we walked in through the tunnels.
That's amazing. I've gotten a private tour in the Capitol before.
Out of the elevator, but it was closed.
Yeah, I got his private tour.
And we're just walking around.
Supreme Court also in that same way.
It was pretty awesome. And he snuck us over there. We got lost a few times on the way, but I don't know. It's pretty cool.
You guys reach out. If you're going to DC with your family, I tell anybody this, reach out to your congresswoman or man and let them know you're going to DC. When I went, it was during COVID, and you had to get a congressional recommendation to get into the White House. And it was Trump's White House. And I reached out to Stuart, and he got us in. And I was with a group of law enforcement officers for the police officer memorial. And then one of my dad's very dearest friends and oldest friends is a retired Capitol police officer. He took us in after we did the tour of the Capitol with Mike Lee. He took us into the Supreme Court that was closed, and we got to tour that, and we got to tour the White House, which any citizen, any Utah citizen, reach out to your local party chair or your congresswoman directly or man directly and just ask them.
If you're going over there, reach out to us. We'll get you in contact with her.
Right.
Gladly. She'll have you in her office. She'll chat with you. She'll tell you what's going on. I got a challenge coin.
Oh, great.
And Katie got a challenge coin. That is AOC's office across the hall.
So if you're listening at home or watching,
AOC is
a wall of Post-it notes
directly across the hall. But good buddy Dave put a never forget sticker on the wall. It's right about there, and it's still there. But right across the hall, and no one's ever seen her.
Oh,
they've met her interns
since the bathroom incident. I'm sure she hasn't even been there.
No, I don't think she
protested that.
I don't think she's obviously not a representative of her district. She's a representative for socialist Latinas.
The left.
Yeah.
Just social justice.
She's got the trans flag and the American flag, but
not anymore. That's been banned. None of those flags can be in federal buildings.
Really? I want to see that happen.
That executive order was signed.
But yeah, it was quite cool. I would have liked to have watched the inauguration.
David, did you can you tell me, do you know how much Bitcoin what's his name was arrested with initially when what's his name? Albright?
Ross.
But it's Albright?
Albrecht. I think so.
I thought he had like 140,000 Bitcoin, but the government took it. And now, I mean, you guys, this is like when Trump says it's we're going into America's golden age.
Oh, I hope so.
Okay. Over 100K. Yeah, it was seized, but we're going into the golden age. And I just feel that more than ever. We've got the World Cup coming. We've got the Olympics coming to our country. We've got our bicentennial, is it bicentennial? 250?
Yeah.
That's coming up next year. And all of this, hi, Patricia. It is an amazing week. I was just saying, this feels like this is probably the greatest week America's ever had since its founding, which the founding wasn't such a great week. It was really a lot of stress and chaos. But this week, it just feels like the sun is shining brighter. People are nicer. People are happier.
This kind of reminds me of maybe like when coming out of Carter's slump and Reagan gets in. And this is when the news really first gets spicy. So the news come after Reagan for all the homeless people and all that. And that really had nothing to do with Reagan. That was all JFK. JFK, when he was a congressman, passed those bills that closed down all the mental institutions that caused homelessness to explode.
Right. And that was because of his sister. The lobotomies were what trans surgeries are now, in my opinion.
And him and a guy who wanted to privatize the mental institutions. A little bit of capitalism in there, I guess. But anyways.
I'm for privatized mental institutions. Governments fund them because it's people who can't afford to go there.
I don't know, because one, I think, well, I don't know. Different discussion, another day. But anyways.
Banks are now allowed to custody Bitcoin as of today. Thank you, Trump.
That's awesome. But
amazing.
It's like coming out of Carter, maybe. We've been in a slump. Granted, thank God this slump isn't as long as Carter's was. Because,
Carter's was maybe 4 years.
It was just about as long. Carter's was coming out of Vietnam, coming out of Watergate, coming out of all that. So maybe it's parallel.
I feel like this is all new.
We have to see. I do hope. I know this is higher political theory, but this post-World War II liberal economic order, maybe it has served its time and it's time for it to end. So maybe the coasts won't be the center of everything now, because they've been the ones to benefit from every change and every law, and maybe that'll be spread out. But my big takeaway from just going there is you drive around and every business has, I don't recall the days. I just read history. Dave says, I barely recall Carter's days. I don't recall them at all, but I read history.
I remember my parents under Carter. We're unhappy.
Everyone that's everyone, the National Realtors Association, everyone has a business there, has a headquarters there, or an office or whatever, just so they can try to gain those levers of power. And that's where we're going wrong, is that we have those levers of power. That's what we need to break away from. That's what, honestly, that's what's killing us, is that we
prostituted our government
well
away.
we've accumulated so much power in our government. Our government shouldn't have that much power, and that's what I'm hoping we do away with. If we don't, all this joy and everything's for naught. It's not going to make a difference. We've got to make a smaller government, a smaller, cheaper government. I mean, look at Milei down in Argentina. I mean, he is the future. All governments need to look at him. He is the future.
How did he get under Soros's radar? What did they just think, that Argentina wasn't going to be a threat?
Was he Soros backed?
No, he's all around all these different countries like Venezuela and all of that. And he was able to get an election win and get the people together. And he has been in there just doing exactly what Trump's planning on doing, hopefully.
Trump needs to get on it.
It's day 4.
He needs to get, I think he fired a quarter of government within the first week.
For sure.
Yeah, he just started firing them.
Yeah, when he made the executive order that they all have to come in, there's no more remote working in the federal government. A lot of people quit that day, and the people that came back, that every department head has been tasked to go in and figure out who is essential. Like, it's not about the people, it's about the work and what is needed. I can only imagine. I can't wait for them to get into the IRS. Do we need 80,000 armed IRS agents 2 years ago?
And the ATF head, he quit. Stephen Diddle in the back. He quit on January 18th. They haven't. I mean, honestly, Trump needs to. He needs to go radical on his ATF head. We need to have one gun positive person in there. It's time to do it. We've never had that. So I would go with Colin Noir. That's a tough one, because Trump's not necessarily the most gun positive person, and they don't want to make him angry. But at the same time, Trump has to know this time around that the Constitution is the way. And the Second Amendment is not going anywhere. So he needs to get someone in charge of these departments that feels the way the American people feel about their guns. We've always had gun negative guys in there. Yeah. Let's try a change. For an FBI guy, let's, put a guy in there who, we haven't had an actual law enforcement officer in there. We've always had lawyers and politicians. Let's put an actual cop in there. Let's put one of those freshman agents who didn't see all of the ridiculousness, but signed up to be in the FBI because they believed in it. And I would find someone who is apolitical. I would find someone who, like, if they look into him, he's never been registered as either party. That's going to be hard, because your job as an American citizen is to vote. That wouldn't be fair. You don't have to be registered into a party to vote. Yeah, but what if he's 18 years old and his parents were Democrats? Of course he'd register. No, I would find someone that's apolitical. I would look around. Whether it's hard or not, we don't do these things because they are easy. What you're saying is, though, you're putting less people into the pool when apolitical, let's start with someone who doesn't outwardly talk crap about the political administration they're working for. And I don't care which side it was. Start there. Somebody who doesn't engage in political conversation, or shut the FBI down. Then you don't need one. So I'm good with that too. Here's what we're here to chat about. But I've been thinking long and hard about this IRS first, guys. So let's we don't have very long. We got like an hour and 15 minutes left. So let's get into his executive orders that has everyone up in arms. And we'll just read the ones right off Trump-friendly Axios. Because I think no matter what they say, we'll enjoy them. Okay. Trump declares a national emergency at Mexico's border.
Are you being sarcastic about Axios?
I want to read from.
Are they Trump supporters?
Oh, no.
Okay. I didn't. Okay. For
I
those of
wanna
us
read from-
that are a little slow on that, he's being sarcastic.
I want to read from the anti-Trump one because no matter what they say, I think we will be able to point out the positive. National emergency at Mexico's border. That allows more availability for resources and special circumstances to be taken down to the Mexico border. I'm hoping that I don't know what it will do to stop fentanyl. I'm hoping it'll slow it down, but I don't have a lot of faith in stopping the drug use. I think the biggest armament against drugs we could have, sadly, it's a long-term plan, but it's to have a wealthy, successful economy.
Amen.
That's the only way to defeat the drugs. Because
That's how you defeat a lot of our national problems.
Because the fentanyl, if they can't get the fentanyl, they will find another drug. They will find another escape.
Heroin.
Even if it's just hardcore alcohol use, they will find it. So we've got to have an economy where more people find success, more people find security, more people find pride. So
hope, right.
That's how we defeat that. But that being said, we are dealing with Tren de Aragua, MS-13, all those, and also I'm a firm believer that China has been sending special forces over here for the last 4 years.
We've seen it. We've seen it in the footage of people coming across.
I'm a firm believer in that. And that is
at least we've seen military-age Chinese immigrants coming across that border in large groups.
And no women, all males. Where are they at now?
Where are the 300,000 kids that were lost at this border?
Yes, that too. Those kids sadly have been
trafficked.
Joe Biden, you have allowed children to be sold into slavery. And I hope you have to answer for that one day.
So he declares a national emergency. Now, these words, national emergency, they get me a little bit kind of, that puts a lot of power in the hands of the president.
It does.
In the government. But deploying the troops to the region, I'm all for it.
And it is also a national emergency.
It is. It absolutely is.
Just for the lost kids, it is, let alone the
fentanyl,
the Chinese special forces, the gangs, the drugs, the porous border, the guns, the burden on our, the guns went the other way, but the burden on our
I know a lot of weapons came over that border that were designed to hurt the country.
Sure.
So I'm thinking guns, bombs.
You're thinking bombs.
Invisible bombs.
I'm thinking, mass casualty devices, but
terroristic
general
threats.
guns, those generally went the other way because Mexico has that lockdown, or Mexico thinks they have. Mexico is trying to have that lockdown, fast and furious, but and the burden on our tax base and our
right there, the economy,
social security system,
healthcare,
not our social security, but all of that. So it says nearly 1660 Afghans cleared the U.S. to resettle in the country, including family of active duty U.S. military personnel, had their flights canceled following Trump's orders.
I feel so bad.
Yeah.
The app was turned off on Inauguration Day.
They're cleared by the U.S. Tell me more about what's going on there.
Wait, I want to talk about this a little bit because if you are on X, especially, I was on X for maybe an hour today, and the videos of our troops at the border, they are building the wall, and they have been assigned, as has ICE, been assigned shifts 24/7. So they're building the wall at night. They're building the wall in the morning. They are nonstop. They are reinforcing the wall. Get on X or TikTok and look up border wall, and you will see our troops are down there. I love this for our country. Every country has the protected borders. Every country in the world but us. So this should not piss anyone off.
Yeah. What happens if one of us go into Canada?
You can't. And especially if you've ever committed any crime in your past.
If you have a DUI, you cannot go into Canada.
It's the truth.
Unless you're super wealthy.
No, that's true too.
Trump also ordered Homeland Security to terminate all categorical parole programs that are contrary to the policies of the United States established in my executive order. I guess they're just
that's going to be what they did with Haiti under the Biden administration and Obama administration, where they allowed all these people come over on the parole program from Haiti. And these people just got automatic acceptance into the country, and they don't have to obtain or require any good behavior, any productive job.
We're not taking your criminals.
Of that.
We're not.
And then, well, some of them are getting swooped up that aren't criminals, but if they associate with criminals, ICE is taking you. So
Good.
If you are not a legal citizen of this country, I suggest you do not associate with criminals, period. Because ICE will not have a reason to come to your house.
Don't get wrapped in with that crap. And if you're a criminal, stay home. Remain in Mexico policy is back.
Wait, one other thing.
Oh, go on.
Governor Cox turned over 200 criminal aliens this week.
Ooh. Good.
Governor Cox has said he will definitely be cooperating with ICE agents, and the jails and prisons will be turning over. And he did it. He did it this week. So for those of you that don't like Cox, he also did a declaration of nuclear energy. So Utah will be leading the headway on this, on nuclear energy. And if you guys know us, we are all about that nuclear energy, because that not only is groundbreaking for the country, but for Utah. Mm-hmm. For Utah's energy, that is unprecedented of what can be done.
Yeah, we need
and
cheap
then we
energy.
Can sell it outward to other places.
We need cheap energy.
So that's another pro for Governor Cox this week.
Good. Now, granted, this might be, and I hope Cox does come on one day to talk about this, but Cox may have also been immigrant friendly because he got money from the federal government to be immigrant friendly, and now that money's off, so it might just be
I think
real
the mandate
politique that happens.
I think the mandate of the American people were the end game, because I know the church is very, very accepting of immigrants, and the government was being very helpful with immigrants. But I think what our elected saw was the vote from all of you. People came out, they stood in line for hours, they registered, and it was an amazing mandate put on by the American people. So if every governor in this country doesn't at least give that some credit and maybe listen a little bit, it should be the last time they're ever elected. And I think our governor definitely heard it. A
Republican governor has to listen to that even more, because that means Republicans are what put him in there.
I've said this on the show before. I only ventured out to pray that we would win, and we would win big. But I have said this, and I'm not alone. I'm looking at every Republican in DC right now. And if our party is the reason that Trump does not get this country back on track, I'm walking away from the party.
Okay, now
I'm going to open the window.
David's got some comments. He says, good luck. David, you got to lead in with what you're talking about. He's okay with the 6-month declaration of dictatorship for Trump, just like in the Roman Republic.
AKA national emergency.
I don't know how I feel about that. That's how the Romans got in trouble. But, go ahead.
He declared an emergency too with North Carolina.
Probably
with California. So
probably all the state delegates who voted for Lyman.
Funding that was going to immigration has now been pulled out of FEMA. It's all going to North Carolina. Trump was there today or yesterday morning. and he's already been to Los Angeles, and he's going to go back. But he's put a moratorium on any money going outside of this country to other countries.
Good.
So we're not giving any money
Good.
to all these other countries until North Carolina, Florida, California, Hawaii,
Tennessee
are doing okay. Tennessee, yeah. So he's made that absolute policy. Why are we sending places to help other countries, and our country is suffering? Our Americans are suffering.
We were sending 87 million a week to the Taliban. Drink that in, boys and girls. Anyways, so remain in Mexico's back. Best, the ultimate design ever that just says, it's just a message that if you're trying to get here and Mexico is in the way, you apply in Mexico first.
Mexico has agreed to take him and cooperate with the president.
Birthright citizenship. That is the, 14th Amendment. It's been argued both ways forever.
Have you read the when that was actually discussed?
I have.
And the content and context that it was written in?
It was so that freed slaves had a country.
Yes.
And I think
if they were born here, they should have that country.
Times have changed enough that now we need to update that for the living constitution that the left loves so much.
Can I just say, though, that as far as this issue, I heard someone on TikTok explain it like this, and it really struck a chord with me.
Oh, and TikTok's
if someone comes into your home and gives birth in your living room, should they be able to have a portion of your home and rights to your assets?
That's right. I think we should make it people who have permanent residence here.
Or green cards. If someone's got a green card working towards residency.
I would put it on a continuum that if they attain residency, the child that is born can then carry citizenship. I wouldn't put it so that just someone had a green card, because what if they get an education green card, they keep re-upping it, and then their child gets citizenship because this Chinese person, the CCP paid for them to go to physics school over here as a spy.
I mean, that could be that. David says it's up to the Supreme Court to interpret, and I'm here for it. I want the conversation to be had. My husband wasn't born in this country. But if you're born overseas, you don't get to be a citizen of the country you're born in. That's not how countries work. And so United States needs to get back on and look at what our policy is. And is it fair? Is it fair considering what the world's policy is on it? And, my husband is an American citizen because his father was an American citizen, was an American soldier. And he was born on a base, which is considered American property, but he could have had dual citizenship because his mother was a citizen of Germany and also America. But this is the thing. Any other country doesn't allow this, folks. So you're not doing anything that you can't go to Mexico, give birth in Mexico, and have a Mexican citizen. That's not how it works. So why should it be reversed? Declaring the drug cartels before we leave the border as terrorists, making it so we can use military to stop them. And we should. Now, does that mean we're going to be invading Mexico? Well, did we ever plan on invading Afghanistan? We go where the terrorists are. And these terrorists are affecting us. So I don't want to invade Mexico. I don't want to invade Canada. None of that. I do not want to see us take over the world. So Greenland, there's 45,000 people in Greenland. There's half those people are the size of our little county. So there's not a lot of people, but I think Greenland is a really huge asset to America, and they should at least be working with us. But this drug cartel thing and all of that, if they're coming to the border, at least our soldiers are on the border. And I think the rules of engagement maybe have changed for our military. to start taking out these terrorists.
What, oh, man. That's a complicated feeling. What does it look like if we start sending special forces
I'm here for it.
towards cartels? But
and if I'm the government of Mexico, maybe I start thinking to clean up my own backyard.
they've tried.
Well, maybe they'll feel more empowered to do so with the United States also doing so.
Yeah. I wish Mexico the best of luck.
I just wish I'm happy if they
matter
become
of
a
fact,
territory. That's what I'd like.
Here's what I wish. Any child of Iberia country, I wish you the best of luck. All right. Energy and environmental executive orders. Okay. These are big ones. National energy emergency has been declared. Ordering expedited, deregulated drilling. Drill, baby, drill.
In the Gulf of America. Naming it the Gulf of America just overrides anything that Biden wrote about the Gulf of Mexico, because right before he went out, he made all these regulatory laws that can only be removed by Congress, and saying you can't drill in the Gulf of Mexico, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And now naming it the Gulf of America. And you know who did this first? I think was DeSantis. He said, great, well, I am going to do this and this in the Gulf of America. And that's how he got to get his orders put through for the emergency work during the hurricane.
Good. I want to see it happen. Also opening up some Alaska drilling and Alaska energy production, which, I hope that this won't be abused. I'm not saying it will be, but I want to see, we do need to produce more energy. We need to get to that point. It's time for us to move into the next industrial revolution. It's on us, and we've got to be ready. If we don't, someone else will, and then we will be that fallen country like England, who its people are just fodder to feed to,
or Germany,
whatever their
crippled
their
Russia
government officials want to feed them to. Because that's what's happening in England. We don't even need to talk about that, where they want immigration so bad that they're willing to feed their young girls, the daughters of their country, to these Asian grooming gangs. And don't give up your guns. England, you made a big mistake. You should have overthrown them by now. You should have.
I would like to mention that if Alaska's okay with opening up drilling there, I'm all for it. I want every state who wants to be a part of this and to use the resources under their feet, do it. I want Utah to do it. And I want Utah to lead the way with nuclear energy. And as Dave says, he says uranium. If the counties that are having the mines in them are okay with it, and I'm talking about the voters here, if they're okay with it by the majority, do it. I don't want anyone to be I don't want any governor to be overridden on this.
Yeah, I agree.
Texas has been regulated. All these places have been regulated so badly that even if they wanted to, they couldn't. I want that. This stops all of that, so that companies that want to go into a community and invest billions of dollars and pull billions of dollars out, great. Communities benefit, folks, when that is coming out of your own backyard. Nuclear energy, petroleum and oil and natural gas and coal, all of the communities that are a part of that benefit first. It's like you sell it outward to the world. And then at Davos, his speech at Davos, which he left the WHO, boom, in an executive order, watching them eat that sandwich as they introduced him, Klaus Schwab introducing Donald Trump with all this honor and respect. Oh my goodness. But at Davos, he made it absolutely clear. America's going to sell you your energy. Don't worry. We're going to take care of Germany and France and all of you that have needed to depend on Russia. We're going to take care of it.
Nice.
We're going to take care of Russia. And then he said, I'd be happy to go into a deal with Russia and China, and let's become the number one source of energy to everyone around the planet. I'm willing to work with all of them. He said, I don't want to go to war. We don't need World War III. We need these countries working together. And he hasn't talked to Putin yet. But even Putin has been on interview saying that I would have never went in if Trump was president. But you remember his pipeline was destroyed. And a lot of talks were said about Ukraine. All of a sudden, everyone's in bed with Ukraine and our government, especially. So I'm interested to be a fly on the wall with that conversation between him and Putin.
Tell me about this evil anti-green stuff when they're blowing up a pipeline underwater and causing a huge catastrophe in the water there.
The whales are dying because of the windmills in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what else doesn't happen in an ocean with windmills? Sonar doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're going to put windmills off the coast of the United States of America and hurt the sonar on our subs that protect it from enemies, foreign and domestic. Are you kidding? That right there should pull those out. And the eagles get hurt and the whales are dying, but they're hypocrites, man.
And he left the Paris Climate Treaty. Good job. That was BS no matter what. It was just us sending money to a fictional BS thing that did nothing except shake its finger at India and China and then fostered them to do more.
The American taxpayer was paying triple what they should have been paying. It wasn't, even if it was a great organization, why is the United States paying everyone's share of it?
It's all pretend. We're done with that.
That also goes for the other, the WHO. America was paying $500 million to be a part of WHO. China pays $39
When
million.
Are we getting rid of NATO now?
And so Trump said, back before all of this, in his last presidency, he says to the WHO, why am I paying more than China? They have 1.4 billion people. We have 350 million. Why is it that I'm paying 500 million and they're paying 39? And he said, we're out. He said, we're out.
Good.
They said, Klaus Schwab said, well, you can pay 39 million too. Then Trump doesn't get reelected. Surprise. Biden gets in, and you know what he does? He says, oh no, I know you made the deal with Trump, but we'll pay 500 million. We believe in it that much.
Because of kickbacks.
Absolutely. It's all corrupt. So when Trump did an order to pull us out of the WHO, there's another thing I'm a little worried about. I love it that Japan has brought in $500 billion into the country for the AI programs and things like that. I'm here for it. Let America take over the planning and development of AI, and let's make it a good product that doesn't take over someday and kill us all. But there's a couple parts of that plan that get me a little bit worried. One of them is they went in to talk about cancer. I would love it. It could cure cancer. I get that. AI has got so much information, and they can do a blood test and they can find out what cancer you have from your blood, or they can dissect a tumor that you may have and decide what treatment's going to work best for you. But now they're saying AI can detect it in your blood before it becomes a problem. And they want to make a vaccine, and it's an mRNA vaccine, to kill that cancer. That got me, because
I said right from the start,
that's where mRNA vaccines.
That's where mRNA is going. It's going into the fighting of cancer. I said that from the start in 2019.
Right. And right now, there's not enough research on mRNA long term.
Sure.
But there are doctors who believe, the guy who created the mRNA vaccine has said on X, this could very well cause cancer.
Could.
It tends to pool in certain organs that you have, and the body keeps fighting, and you will develop cancer potentially from it. He said no child should ever get an mRNA vaccine. And most adults, it was only designed to treat cancer in terminally ill people, because those are the people that were willing to take it and be studies in hopes. They the AI could learn from it. The doctors could learn from it, and treatments could be developed for future people.
It's still young technology. We don't know where it's going to be, but I said that from the start. I think that I had a theory that maybe all the pharmaceutical companies that got on there and got the government to pushed it on us as a test of theory.
I don't think you're wrong. I really don't.
And that's so, but I'm not pro or anti. But they needed
a president to mandate it quietly to businesses. So that Biden never said he mandated it per se, but he did.
Oh, he didn't try pushing it through OSHA?
Reinstated it. Oh, they put it on every military person. And if you watched that inauguration, Trump said, I am going to rehire all of the military that was let go, and I'm going to give them back pay.
So I hope you guys kept up on your PT for the last 4 years. Because you guys,
I think we're going to see a big, big boost I'm hoping, in our military enrollment. I hope that there are people who want to serve this country and soldiers are supposed to kill things and break shit. Let's just be honest. That's their job. And in the last 2 administrations, they weren't allowed to do that. So they were sent to places and they had to do this and this. And it wasn't, they're always we'll rebuild and we'll do this. But they were always controlled by a guy in the White House and his departments that it was almost like, let's extend this war and break a lot of stuff, but we're going to come back and rebuild. But let's keep this going as long as possible. Soldiers aren't designed that way. They're designed to go into the target, kill and break shit. That's it. And I think that Trump is going to take that collar off. And I think we're going to have the best military this country has ever seen. And I hope a lot of people, young people, get ready to sign up. And I'm hoping it's not at the threat of death. I hope it's at the growth and protection of the United States of America. That's what I hope.
We don't need that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Now, here's how Axios puts it. Executive orders targeting DEI and transgender Americans. No, he's just shutting down DEI.
Hi, Fred.
As the means for hiring people.
Oh, it's
he's
more than
it's
more than just talks, guys. Every government building had DEI departments, trainings.
Well, and they moved
budgets.
The DEI head of the FBI. They moved him over, and so I hope Trump goes after him.
Oh, he's put in an order.
We need to start polishing this crap off.
Employees can report anonymously where they're seeing DEI in our local governments or in our federal government.
And now you need to pass that down to colleges. Any college who has a policy like that shall not receive federal income. That's it.
Or state, because our governor also has put an end to those.
And now our
programs.
state, but I would allow states, if a state wants to, let's say.
I mean, state funding. They can pay colleges who want to have DEI if they want, but our state. Our state,
yes.
Our governor has said, we are not allowing any more DEI programs and we're not going to give money to people who do.
Yep.
Another win for Governor Cox.
Trump ordered all executive departments and agencies to terminate what he called discriminatory and illegal preference policy programs, guidance, and other provisions to combat illegal private sector DEI preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities. So I think what that means is that when a bid is put out, they can't look into the company's DEIs, the contractor or prospective contractor's DEIs policies to see if that meets their needs. So that's good.
So this is kind of like the social credit score that was killing everybody and hurting everybody. And you couldn't get a federal contract if you didn't have Mulvaney as your Bud Light agent.
What was that guy's name?
You couldn't get contracts. So guys, this helps open up businesses to not have to put all this stupid money into departments like that so they can get federal government contracts. In fact, it prohibits them from having money involved. They won't be even considered because he made it, he explained it perfectly. It's discrimination.
Yep.
It's absolute blatant discrimination. And if it's not against a person of color, it's a discrimination against a white person or a person of color if they're not following these DEI mandates.
Well, once the person of color was overridden by a transgender or a
transgender
three spirit, or
did you mean to say transgender? Yeah. You just won the day.
Or I have webbed toes, whatever. I don't care. No, that's outstanding. He also said all full-time return to in-office work for federal employees in order to hiring freeze on government positions. I want to know how many of those return to work people quit, because we might have made the government smaller by a percentage just doing that.
It worked at X, at Twitter.
Yes, it did. He also reinstated his first term Schedule F executive order, which could make it easier to fire civil servants deemed disloyal.
You guys, and I would not America make that logical again.
I wouldn't make that disloyal to him or a party. I'd make that disloyal to the United States.
It's disloyal to you, the taxpayer. And you can get fired or laid off or anything tomorrow. You are this valuable to your company, but they will replace you, and they will replace you quickly. The federal government and even local government, it's almost impossible to get fired. It's almost impossible. Their hands are tied. And even if you do fire them, you got to pay them all this money to get them out. This is fair. If it's good enough for private America, it should be good enough for the employees of America. Do you know how many, our federal government, do you know how many different unions there are for federal employees? There's one called the Federation of Federal Government Union Association.
There should not be a public sector union. That should not be allowed. You should not be able to unionize against your fellow Americans.
When your paycheck comes from your fellow Americans and you're going to unionize for better wages, but you're getting more wages than the average person doing your job. You're also getting better security.
I would tie
job security.
I would tie government wages to the median income of the nation.
Amen.
I also think that our elected officials, our Congress people, and our senators should be paid by the state, not federally. The state should pay their bill, and the state should decide how they pay them, be it median income of the state. They get paid that plus whatever, or however they do it.
I don't think they make that much.
But doesn't matter. It should still be the state, because
the bill up to end insider trading in the Senate.
Yes, I want you to hear this. What if the median income of the state was what?
44,000.
Celeste made. So 44 plus 10%. Let's call it that. What if that's what Celeste made?
She have to stay home more, because you couldn't afford even an apartment in DC.
There's no reason why the state of Utah can't buy, like almost every other state has, a house there that she stays at and the senator stays at. But
that is brilliant. Just like a governor's mansion, only it's the Utah.
Seriously, there's a Florida house
housing.
There.
That's actually.
There's a Tennessee house.
Why are we doing that?
But also, I want you to look at this.
That's brilliant.
I want you to look at this. Also, Utah can pay her travel, but that's her wage. She keeps none of that. None of that she has to pay to do any of her transportation or throw her parties, whatever. But that will incentivize them to make laws to bring up our median income, because it affects them.
I like where you're at, but $150,000 a year isn't that much, as long as if our electeds were staying home and working out of their, you've said this before, work out of your jurisdiction, and vote, remotely. I love that. Keeping senators at home. Let's hurt DC a little bit. Let's take some of the money out of DC, because I bet that $150,000 is going to live there and going to, go back and forth. So I wouldn't want to take their pay to that yet, but I can see what you're trying to say as far as,
or it could be,
let's just have the state controlling that.
Median income doubled.
But then think about it. What if you have a Florida senator and the Florida government decides to pay them $1 million a year, and our governor's paying ours $44,000 a year? That isn't a level playing field for the people of the United States.
What
I
do you
don't
mean
think.
it's not a level? That means that Florida has to get taxed more to maintain their elected officials.
They would find a way.
Sure, let them.
I'd love to go down this train
Because
and figure
I
it
would
out.
like to see our senators and our senators are supposed, specifically our senators, are supposed to fight for the state.
And the Constitution.
They're supposed to fight for the state.
But they're making laws for the nation.
Sure, they're supposed to fight for the state. Would California be able to roll us over
That's
if it
why we have
stripped
so
us
much
of
pork
wealth?
in every single bill.
Yes, and
I hate
that's
that.
another thing. He needs to put that in. All bills will be single issue bills. That needs to happen. But
He can't make executive
I know
orders
he can't do anything
for
with that.
Congress. Here's what I want, you guys. There are so many executive orders, and we're going to go through more. But at the end of the day, we've got people like Celeste who's looking at this list. And now her and other Republicans and Mike Johnson are trying to figure out how to get these into law or how to pay for them. The Senate is getting them into law and the Congress is coming up with money. Our Congress, including Celeste and Utah's Congress, they preemptively voted. Remember, when she made that vote that pissed everybody off, that vote is the reason they're building the wall right now in Mexico. Day one.
Mm-hmm.
Day one. Our federal Republicans right now have secured that money, had secured a lot of different areas so that Trump would hit the day running. And now, when I think of that, if he wouldn't have won, that would have sucked. But the money was designated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Celeste was telling us when she told us why she voted for those bills. And that, to me, has come to fruition this week.
Still carry heartburn over that. But
here's the deal. Right now, these senators need to make laws. And Thomas Massey just put one up. I think it's Thomas Massey.
Yes, he's a congressman.
Oh, no. Then it's a senator. It's the other guy. Oh, Hawley. Okay. I should remember him. He put a bill in today for the Senate, and he's in committee now, talking about banning any congressman from investing in stocks during their service. Now, his bill was up for amendment. He said, I'm happy to take your amendments because, Rand Paul said, what are you going to do about people who come in here and they're business owners? Their business is publicly traded. You can't tell these businesses owners, these CEOs, that they can't move their stocks around. And so there will be amendments on this bill.
They have to assign someone to handle that business while they're gone. And I think every congressperson, every senator's phone transmissions need to be recorded. We need to turn the NSA over to recording that. We need to be able to, I don't care. That is a voluntary job.
Okay, I'm going to add then.
That is a voluntary job. This most important part. That is a voluntary job. When I became a private in the U.S. Army, I lost a whole bunch of rights, including my first, my second, my third, my fourth. Well, my third. Yeah, that was kind of
was that a big one for you?
Gained. But I lost all those rights. I could not own a firearm as a private. I could not say what I wanted as a private. That is a voluntary job. They need to know going in that you will lose that right to trade money to become vastly wealthy. That is a
you guys, it's happening every single day. They're prosecuting government. They're prosecuting American citizens every day for insider trading, and they do it daily. Look at how many politicians, and he brings this up when he's discussing this with the committee, how many politicians, when COVID was happening, before the shutdowns, that went all in on Big Pharma before the vaccine was unleashed.
On Zoom,
and they went all in because they had information before the American people. And I'm going to do one step further than even he suggested. When I worked in radio, if one of my family members won a radio drawing, they weren't able to take it because they were related to me. This should go out to their spouses, their children, their parents, because
it's a voluntary job.
They have information that you and I are not privy to. Not even the best, richest people in this country are privy to that information.
It's a voluntary,
as soon as they are.
Guarantee that Lizard Pelosi and that God rest her soul, Feinstein and all those other the Republican ones, they're all hanging on to power for as long as they can, so they can build that war chest for their kids to remain rich forever because they get to do it. No, we need to strip them of that. You are supposed to be a servant. Period. End of that discussion. You're not there to get rich. You're not there to steal from all of the people. Done. That's it.
And to go back, David says, I'll never forget when they herded all the Dugway employees into the school gym to do a transgender acceptance tolerance class. Fred says, what? Holly and Jared are agreeing this week? Ha! See what happens when Trump is president? David laughs. We should have our delegates cast our congressional vote. That's what David says. Fred says, Holly, I hate that you are winning me over on Celeste Malloy. I've enjoyed her past positions. And Dave says, what about Bitcoin? This I love, because Bitcoin is just like the stock market if you think about it. For these, but it's not, because I can, as a congressman or something, I can buy bonds that reinforce the American dollar. This is a currency. Well, they should be able to purchase it, but I also want Bitcoin to stay independent of the federal government.
Here's something that you can do. You can add for congressmen and senators. They can sign up for any plan that any regular federal employee can. Well, no, I wouldn't put it like that, because any federal employee can sign up for extra stuff. Yeah, I would say they can put it in their TSP, thrift savings plan. They can put it in, they can sign up for Vanguard, like mutual funds, group funds, things like that. But they can't do like single trading and betting on the market, because they have too much power in that market. I'm sure if we got to forensically look at it, there has been Congress people that has crashed markets to make money.
I guarantee.
And
who wouldn't? Think about it.
Yes.
You have a crystal ball.
We can't give them that ability. We can't. That has to be done.
Now, Bitcoin, talk about Trump's coin. Trump had his coin go out Saturday.
I'm not a fan.
Saturday, he puts his Trump fan or his coin out. By Sunday, he's $50 billion on paper richer.
I'm not a fan of him doing that.
Because he's going into digital currency.
I'll tell you why I'm not. Me and Dave had a long talk about this. That Haktua girl is probably going to do jail time over hers.
Well, yeah, but they did something really sketchy. Really sketchy.
Trump has given the opportunity for someone else to do something really sketchy in his name.
What did he do sketchy? I mean, creating a digital currency?
Let's say the FBI wanted to crash him, wanted him in jail. They just have to go in there and buy a lot of it. That night, dump it all back on the market. It breaks the trust with all of his supporters.
But what would that do to hurt him if the FBI bought all that currency?
Because did we know when the FBI dumped all the Bitcoin on the market?
No.
Right.
What you did. How did you tell me about it?
How did I know about it?
Yeah.
Because where did it come from? Where did all that lump sum?
But you know for sure?
I'm pretty sure it was everything they got from Silk Road.
Okay. I don't know for sure.
Everyone says that.
But what if your FBI director is new and believes in the American people?
Sure. What if it's...
What's stopping anyone? Elon Musk making Doge.
Sure. Okay, hold on. But this is for Trump. This is a political figure. What if that super rich Davos guy, whatever, what if he wanted to crash Trump? He's got the money to buy a whole bunch of Trump coin.
Sure, but again,
and then the next day he could turn around, dump it on the market, because you can dump it on the market anonymously. It's just a big lump sum coming on the market, crashes the market. Everyone that trusts Trump and bought into that lost their butts.
Well, this brings me back to Trump Steaks and Trump's College. I mean, it's a brand. He's a brand.
Then it hurts Trump's image. And also that Haktua girl, because of that circumstance, when I guarantee she wasn't the one that dumped it on the market.
No, but again, this is
because she couldn't find her butt with both hands. She's going to go to jail for that.
He doesn't have to run again. He wanted to make a memorable coin and get into the market. I get that. Here's the thing, folks.
I don't.
If you buy Bitcoin or any other thing that's involved in stocks, you could lose everything.
I think he's dancing with
so
hazard.
Whoever's name on it does not reflect.
He shouldn't have.
So be smart about what you do. But I would buy a Trump coin. It started out at $12, and by the end of the day, it was $78. I couldn't get in at $12 on Bitcoin.
If I was him, I wouldn't have done that. But that's fine. He can do it, but that's inviting hazard.
You know, something Fred said earlier that made me laugh on his comment, because he just joined us. He says, PT, okay, I'll work on that. Kill things and break shit. Ha ha, Holly, you're such a cop's daughter. Referring to our military.
Mm-hmm. But we're less than 30 minutes to go. So Trump.
Dave says you can track it. I mean, okay. That's whether you can or
track
not.
That it moved, and there's no reason why he can't move it through multiple avenues. I don't think, but let's move off from that.
I think elected should be able to buy Bitcoin, but I don't think they should be able to buy it if Bitcoin is at all in discussion right now. It is for regulation, therefore there should be a freeze.
Elected should be able to buy it until the government has the ability to control how it's doing, and then electeds can't.
Now, that's coming up on one of these orders.
Okay.
Regulation on Bitcoin.
But let's continue on, because this is a big one. January 6th pardons and clemency actions. Okay, so we already mentioned Ross. So he freed Ross. But he also did pardons for January 6th.
As promised.
I know a lot of people have said, well, some of them got violent with cops. And yes, some of them did. And let's just say, at the very least, any one of them has done 3 years in prison. Some of them have done conditions. 3 years in solitary confinement under what would be considered abuse if it wasn't extra legal.
Can I say here, it's 3 years more than anybody that killed cops and injured cops in the summer of love in 2020. But those people weren't even prosecuted.
We don't even have to compare it to that. I don't think
that's more than sex offenders get.
I don't think that for violence against law enforcement officers, you should get 3 years of extrajudicial punishment.
Oh, I do. But
no, I do not.
When you're a political pawn.
I do not, because I would not charge someone more for hurting a police officer than I would for them hurting anyone else, because we're not charging police more for breaking laws than if a civilian did it. And once we change that rule,
that's a special circumstance that can be considered by a judge. Yes, you can charge an officer worse.
Once we change that to where it's codified,
I would
not.
Law enforcement that gets injured or hurt or killed in the line of duty, but for the fact that they have a badge on, would not be there. Period. Sure. Therefore, that badge is the target. So you have to have harsh penalties for people who hurt law enforcement. However, on the John Sullivan thing that people are all upset about him getting the pardon, there is a saying, I would rather have 10 guilty men go free than one man innocent locked up, whatever the saying is.
Blackstone's equation.
And here's the deal. He's won. Look at the people he surrounds himself with. Look at his behaviors. We'll see him again, folks. But I would much rather see him be free as a bird than one of these other people that showed up and were charged with trespass, parading, and milling at the Capitol. Are you kidding me? The people's house. Well, no, you don't lock people up and you don't use them as political pawns, and then you torture them. I guarantee we're going to see lawsuits. They were asked to sign an NDA before they left the prison. Are you serious? That sounds like the up and up. I hope they didn't sign it. Who forced them
to sign an NDA? Was it the prison?
The warden.
I would drag those wardens in and charge them.
Absolutely.
Right now, I would charge them. Right now, those wardens need to be in cuffs. And I'm pro law enforcement, but I'm also hard on them. I expect if I'm going to hire someone to be law enforcement and I'm going to give them the right to carry a gun and walk higher than the rest of the population, I expect them to be gold. I expect them to be pristine and without flaw, because I am sorry. That's what I expect.
They're so human. They're not flaw
Don't
potentials.
care.
However,
Don't care. That's
no one hates a
what,
bad cop worse than a
that's
good
what
cop.
I expect. That's what I expect. They, you know what? We can hold all sorts of other standards for soldiers and everyone else. Well, I'm going to expect that from law enforcement.
There's a cop right now in Arizona doing life in prison for the murder of George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And his forensics has come back that he did
He
not
didn't
murder
do it.
George Floyd.
He didn't do it.
Where is his pardon? What would happen to our country if he got one? Because he was nearly killed in prison the day that forensics
The
came
day
out
they were releasing
that he didn't murder this guy.
and he was killed. He was nearly killed by
an FBI informant.
Yep.
So this is a political prisoner, folks. And this is what Trump was, or nearly was. But he was a political, this is going after your political adversaries or using people, human beings as pawns, cops as pawns. He should get a pardon. I would at least like to have that case reopened and the new evidence that was allowed for the public to see, including the entire body cam footage. If you haven't seen that, go to YouTube and watch the entire body cam footage with George Floyd. You will be widely awakened by the real context of that situation. And then read the forensics report. And then tell me why that officer is in there doing life. He's doing life because he was a police officer trusted. That was the special circumstance, the judge said.
He was a sacrificial lamb.
Absolutely.
He's not doing life because he was a cop. He's doing life because, one, they wanted Trump out.
But you know what?
They needed a sacrificial lamb. They needed to send a lamb. You know what this word sacrificial lamb comes from?
Is it, I've imagined paganism when they used to worship a god that sacrificed a lamb to God?
It was the Jews.
Yeah, the Jews sacrificed a lamb to God.
Nope, they didn't sacrifice. They would take a lamb and they would put if they were having a bad harvest, whatever, they would say all the bad things that was going on and everything else, trying to get right with God. And they would say it onto this lamb and send the lamb out into the wilderness to die.
Oh, I thought they killed it. In fact, in Abraham, they did. The story of Abraham. Quickly, can you imagine if I was able to buy Bitcoin with the Twila Rainy Day Fund back in the day? You'd have no taxes today. John got a pardon. I know, David. That's what I'm saying. There are people up in arms over John getting a pardon, and I'm here for it. He's already served, I think, 2 years. But
yeah, a year and a half or two, I think. But he was held for a little bit longer, so he
was also caught later. But you guys,
I think he was caught because they started getting. I think they started getting pressure. Like, why is he out?
Yeah.
But that person that was there with them not.
Yeah, and he was everywhere. He was there when Ashley Babbitt was shot.
Because they were gonna just kind of let him skate.
And I'm here for it. Look, you're gonna catch him later. If he doesn't change his ways and find Jesus, he's gonna be. You're gonna find him in Oregon with Antifa or looting down in LA, wherever. People do what people do. We'll catch him later. Also, one little tidbit: a pardon does not excuse you from being charged with treason. You can have a pardon if you are found to have committed treason. A pardon won't work for you.
Also, Utah has grounds to charge Sullivan with state crimes. And
Fred says, I agree with John Sullivan being released. I hope he comes back to Utah.
Well, Utah can charge him. He was involved with that Provo protest. He was intimately close with the guy who shot, I forget the guy's name. And so I would at least bring him in and ask him, what part did you have with initiating that protest? Will that protest turn violent, and you need to carry some of the burden for that?
He says, amen to the pardon of the Arizona cop. Give it some time. It'll
what's
happen.
His name? Sicknick?
No, Sicknick was the one who was killed, right? If somebody knows the name of the officer, is it Sicknick?
I think it's Sicknick. No, Sicknick was the one who died wasn't killed. He had a stroke. That
was killed. Sorry,
I'll remember his quotes. Name. But no,
Fred says others too. Trump can only do what 24 hours allows, and Dave says free the George Floyd cops. Those 5, right?
Yeah.
These life sentences, and he's being moved. Another thing I heard from the January 6ers is they would be moved every few months out of their facility. And when they would get back into their cell, they would know everyone they've been talking to, all the communications they had, and they were keeping those details about these J6ers to hurt them. And for this NDA, can you imagine the government telling you to sign an NDA after serving in prison as a political pawn, and then probably wondering, do I get out if I don't sign it? Because there are constitutional right violations. It's still too soon, J6ers. Enjoy your family and your freedom and just stay out of the press for a while if you can. Well, whatever you want. I'm not saying.
I think they should be able to stay out, and
there's
we
probably
need to step
lawsuits
up.
ahead.
We need to step up, and we need to start forcing this. We need to have those wardens who allowed those unconstitutional acts to happen under their roof. They need to be then put behind bars. I'm serious when I say law enforcement officers need to be held to a higher standard, just like I expect my elected officials to be held to a higher standard.
They're opening investigations everywhere.
Good.
I would like Congress. I know that they've started an investigation on J6 committee and all of the J6 again. I want this open. I would love to know. I want to know the ins and outs of that. I would like them to question. Do you know that the lady who that testified that Trump threw the burger on the wall and saw ketchup down the wall? Remember Kristen something?
Was she the one who said he tried grabbing the steering wheel of the limo?
Yeah, he became like the Hulk and decided to take on two guys.
When there's like a barrier between him and the driver.
So Congress is talking about calling her into committee.
Yep.
And Mike Johnson said, we can't do that. We're not going to do that because to depose her, they would, and I say Mike Johnson, depose her anyway, they would be pulling her texts, and what would they find? Sexual inappropriate texts from electeds up in DC to her.
Do it. Do it tomorrow.
Expose it. I don't care what party they're in.
I want them all to be like, yeah, I'm a perv. Okay, so we do have to run through these. TikTok extension. Trump won over the teenage girl.
Okay, but I don't like that either. I don't want the federal government owning businesses. I get if they're going to charge for a permit to work in the United States. I get that. I like that they're going to have the United States running. Does the government own
TikTok now?
Essentially, 50%.
Okay.
And okay, I love that there's money that's going to come in, but I would prefer a private person ran it, because what happened last time when the federal government wanted to shut Americans up about COVID and vaccines and all of that, all they had to do was go in and bully X and Facebook, and how hard did they have to bully really to get that propaganda put on and all those blocks on American freedoms? Now the government themselves are going to own social media.
I hadn't heard about that. The government now owns part of TikTok. But what I'm saying is he just won over the teenage girl vote.
He ran over also. He also got a ton of young men.
So that 15-year-old
came in clutch for him in the election by 36 points.
Well, that, and also the Democrats have been selling young men out for however long. I mean, the Democrats hate teenage boys because, they're just bottled testosterone. It's true.
They've driven them out. They've driven them away.
And you know what? Yeah. Good on them.
And Joe Rogan, I mean, all these different places people are going for content. TikTok's a big one. Trump even said this could be worth $1 trillion. It
has kind of changed. TikTok's a little different now that it's back.
There's a ton of business owners on TikTok. I don't have it myself because I don't care.
Hey, I like TikTok. I've become a teenage girl myself.
But if the federal government tells China, in order to run TikTok in this country, it must be run by Americans, an American business. If it's the federal government running it, I don't love that, but charges them 50% of their income because they're taking a ton of income out of American citizens who have their businesses on there. And if you have that block between, privacy, just like there is at Facebook, I mean, as much as at Facebook or X, on an American company, at least you have someone to try if they violate your rights. So this one I'd like to know more about the actual deal, because it's only been a little bit. But
I know
TikTok
nothing
put
about the
on
deal.
there that next day when they said TikTok is going to be down for a minute. We are working with President Trump. And then the next one was, thank you, President Trump, for helping us get this worked out. How many TikTokers had to eat that sandwich?
I don't know, but I do know that, man, he just won over a bunch of teenage girl votes and probably teenage boys.
A lot of leftists.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I'm seeing the leftists come out and go, well, Trump got his TikTok back. I guess I owe him
people who are
thank you.
Naturally on the left, and then you've got the crazy people. We'll let the crazy people, they're not going to come back.
Sorry, I usually refer leftist meaning the extreme left. I should be more clear. Sorry.
Redesignating the Houthi rebels in Yemen as terrorist organization. Why wasn't that done before? They had fired on U.S. naval ships. We have actually done a couple of lead exchanges with them. They need to be considered that as of right now.
They attacked our people while we were building them a pier so they could get resources.
They should have done that. Now the Houthis aren't in Gaza. The Houthis are in Yemen. It's a whole to do. Anyways, ensuring government agencies do not unconstitutionally abridge the free speech of any American citizen, highlighting what Trump and his allies considered censorship under Biden.
That's the First Amendment, folks.
That needs to be something that if a government official is found to have, or in the future to have pressured the abridgment of the First Amendment of any civilian, that government person forfeits their job and possibly catches some charges. But I think right then,
a civil lawsuit.
Right then, forfeit of job. You're sorry, you're fired. Sorry, there's nothing. We need to make it so it's biting and immediate.
You see, you need that ability to fire federal workers, the one he just implemented, in order for this one to work.
Yep.
Federal workers have to know their jobs are not cement. Those bureaucracies are no longer guaranteed.
It's not a safe space.
Were you expecting to be in the desert today?
Katie brought me a coffee and
a Red Bull, a coffee, a Powerade. Is the water for me?
This was in here before.
Thank you.
But she brought me a coffee before we fired it up.
You are spoiled, man.
She said, yeah, let me get a big one. And they deliver it by the pound. Okay. Ordering a review of trade practices and agreements. Dig it. We need to. Revoking security clearances of Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, and former intelligence officials who signed a letter discrediting the Hunter Biden laptop story.
He also revoked their Fauci and everyone's security detail. And they were being protected for fear of retribution from Iran. And Trump said today, I'm revoking that. They've got 4 years of protection. They made plenty of money, especially Fauci. He can afford his own private security, and I will even give him some names. That was his words on Fox today.
Good. Formally establishing the Department of Government Efficiency. Pardon me. This is pornography, so we must skip it quick. Go on. Suspending the TikTok ban for 75 days, declaring that federal buildings should respect regional, traditional, and classical architectural heritage to beautify public spaces and ennoble the United States.
I have to say something really quickly. Milwaukee's when I was there for their building and everything, their buildings were built by Germans who came over and built these buildings that look like buildings out of Germany that have been around for 1,000 years.
Like
gorgeous
the Alpine
buildings
style.
They're just very colonial, and you can see like the little gargoyles, and these blocks are enormous. They're the size of a football field. These buildings go Salt Lake City blocks. The entire building is like a block, but they're beautiful to look at, like our Salt Lake County building in Salt Lake, or the Capitol in Salt Lake.
Yep.
What he's saying is, let's bring this back, because they've been making the ugliest communist style buildings known to man, and they're so expensive. And that's what the government has been doing. Now, that's what they do in Russia.
But it'd be great if we didn't need so many government buildings.
Oh, that's a really...
But anyways, renaming Denali to Mount McKinley and the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Federally recognizing the Lumbee tribe. I don't know what that is.
The Lumbee tribe was, I remember during Obama, that Obama said they could be considered a tribe. They were trying to get internet access because they only had dial-up in their region. The Lumbees were given the ability to call themselves a tribe at that point, but they were never given any federal assistance or any federal acknowledgement
Where are they at?
where they could be independent. I'm not sure what state.
Okay, you go ahead and keep talking about it.
But what they ended up doing is they weren't getting recognized federally. So Obama says, yeah, you guys are a tribe and you get all that, but they haven't been getting the recognition.
So they're trying to get the money.
For Native American services, they weren't given any.
Honestly, all right. Message to the Native Americans: you guys need to just become U.S. citizens and function as cities in the U.S. because as long as you're under the Department of Indian Affairs, you'll have to go to them to open a business. It's another layer of regulation. I don't care if you get free money from the government. I don't know if you guys know this, but reservations are very sad places.
They know that. But what if they wanted to become states instead of cities?
So state, city,
Let them
I
be
don't care.
states. Make the tribes have
whatever
their own
you want to do.
states
State, city, county, special areas. Become a nation, but get out from under the Department of Indian Affairs. They've been holding you back.
Sorry, Fred. I want to read all of your comments,
yes,
but we've got a lot to get through.
And we got 5 minutes. Okay, declassifying files. He declassified the JFK and RFK and MLK Jr. files. I'm excited to see what comes out of that.
Do you think you're going to see nothing but redaction? We're going to get a paper that is all black?
I don't know.
Or do you think it's going to actually be open?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Support the use of
digital. Take about 4 months before that's released, by the way.
Supporting the use of digital assets, blockchain technology, and other financial technology. Blockchain is not just financial. Blockchain is a way to record stuff. So we need to start moving blockchain in everything, and including voting. I think blockchain is the future of voting.
And it's supposed to be the safest and the hardest way for someone to try to hack into a blockchain. And it should be where all our federal government technology is on, and our state. And so I'm here for it, guys.
Blockchain means you have to hack 1,000 computers instead of just one. You have to hack 1,000 boxes of votes instead of just one.
And it changes every second. So you got to hack that 1,000 and hopefully you're in before it gets you to the next 1,000. It's not just that,
but it's recorded. It might be recorded here at my house and at Holly's house and in Hong Kong. And all it is, it's a way to record stuff that you can match it against itself. Establishing the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology, PCAST. All right. Don't know much about it. I'll look into it some more.
That'll be helpful if we have another COVID situation.
Revoking existing artificial intelligence policies and directives that act as barriers to American AI innovation. I'm not happy about AI coming on, but we can't stop it. Let's be the first to get it.
Yeah, let's have a seat at that table.
Once AI shows up, we're all, we're the dinosaur then.
But it's whoever writes the AI. Because now use your AI and ask it questions, and the answers are always far left, and they're always, I'm amazed. So
what you're using is what you think is AI is not AI.
I'm just talking about ChatGPT, for example.
It's not even close to AI. AI is going to be something different, something we cannot recognize, something that smart people probably do. I do not. Anyway, so let's run through the comments with the last few minutes.
There's so many more, you guys. There's so many more executive actions that Trump has been doing them. He did them right after he signed some, right after he was sworn in. He signed some at the rally he did that night. He signed some after the ball. He went to 3 balls, you guys, that night. And this is another fun fact. The Marine Corps protects the governor or the president while he is inside the White House and on Air Force One and everything else. So you see the Marines out there. Under Biden, one of the press guys from OAN said, it's so crazy. We got here at 5 a.m. and the Marine was already sitting outside. So we know the president's in the Oval Office. He was never there under Trump. And then at 11 o'clock, when our guys are calling it and going home, he's still there. They didn't see it under Biden. And under Trump, the Marine Corps Guard at the White House is on a 24/7 rotation like it was under Trump, but not under Biden.
Well, Biden was kept in hospice across the street. Okay, so back to Fred Swain. Trump can only do what 24 hours allow. That's true. John Sullivan trained with the communists in Portland for a year to lead the BLM movement in Utah, which he did. Yes.
Go back to the show. John has been on this show with David and Jared, actually, before he was picked up for J6.
John, right after he did that. Yeah, David reached out and nabbed him. He came on. He struck me as a jellyfish. He's just trying to make money. He had no real independent thought of his own. He was,
I'm telling you, you'll see him again,
just
folks.
a jellyfish. David Weiss says, I want to burn those prison guards. I think we need to, I know where to get tar. We just need to source feathers.
I don't even want to give him the beauty of feathers. Let's get him on trial, folks. And prison guards do what they're allowed to do. So the wardens of those prisons need to be pulled out with them.
Yep. Yes, the warden is the one who needs to be pulled out most of all. He says they are traitors and Biden communists.
Our Constitution guarantees that you get a speedy trial, that you don't get cruel and unusual punishment. These are violations of these people's constitutional rights. Mm-hmm. And these are still, I don't care if you're in federal prison or state or city jails. You deserve your rights. And Fred, you know better than anyone that a well-run jail is a safe jail for the guards and for the prison inmates. And everybody waiting to go to jail, not everyone is guilty. They haven't had their trial yet. This should be investigated to the full extent. And I don't want to see taxpayers pay lawsuits, but I think cities should.
Well, here's the thing. I think if
this city, sorry, I have to be clear.
Well, cities get insurance policies to cover that, but
DC should be punished.
I think what needs to happen is when law enforcement steps out of bound and the city gets sued, were I running that city, I'd make it a policy that law enforcement officer is up for review. And it would be very hard for them to keep their job if they breached any of the Bill of Rights.
They are already. If there's
that's a tough one.
If there's an accusation against an officer, they have a review, and it's usually with a paid leave. And if it's a shooting situation, and usually cities pay out even if the officer had a justified
shooting situations, I'm a little different on. But I mean, anyway, so Fred says the young men demographic is a strong anti-Marxism group right now in our nation. They are so done. They are so strong. Yeah. What's happened to them is they have been our society has turned our back on young men.
Young men and young women.
Well,
Gen Z and Gen A are going to save this country.
Young men. They have turned their back on young men. There is no support out there for young men, especially young white men. There is no support for them. No support in schools. They're tossed out of school the minute it's not beneficial for the school.
They're told they're predators. They're told they're stupid. They're told they're worthless and that they're disgusting.
So yeah, they're gonna,
that's why I think they're gonna join the military a lot, maybe will. And I think they're gonna be the ones,
or maybe they won't join the military,
the Republic, because they have seen both sides and they know, and I don't care what color they are. Men have been treated terribly, and especially our young men in high schools and junior highs.
Okay, Dave says we need to put Houthis in labor camps. I don't know what a Houthi is.
I think he means the Houthis or whatever from Houthis.
Oh, the Houthis.
And I don't like labor camps. That just is a bad. I'm trying to avoid any ideas, especially while we're doing this roundup of criminal aliens.
Houthis
are labor camps.
They're in Yemen, so they're already in. I mean, a labor camp would be a step up from Yemen.
Yeah, that's kind of like a hotel resort. Yemen is the poorest, worst country on earth. The number one killer in Yemen is cholera.
Everyone drink that in. That means there's poo in their water. Fred says, I have a strong opinions about the Fourth Amendment and the Second Amendment opinions lately. I have realized how critical we maintain our First Amendment rights. Okay, I'll say this one time only. First Amendment is your most important amendment. That's your ability to put what's inside your brain, outside your brain. It's the most important. Second Amendment is equally as important because it's the one that defends the first. Fourth Amendment is just an expression, a further expression of your First Amendment. Therefore, the Second Amendment continues to protect that. The Second Amendment, it carries its importance because, one, it's how you're a citizen. A government that trusts its people with the means to overthrow it is a government I want to continue to have.
It's a better behaved government. Now, really quickly,
if you're not practicing your Second Amendment, you are falling short of what you need to do as an American, as a human, as a thinking being. And this is for you leftists too. It is the ultimate expression for you to have teeth to defend yourself. And that's defend yourself against intruders, against an ex-boyfriend, and against
tyranny,
a government that has gone awry. You need to practice that. And if you are afraid to, call me. I will walk you down that path and I'll get you started.
The Fourth Amendment. Here's the thing. This AI stuff and this AI discussion, this guy was selling it to the American people saying that law enforcement will have eyes on them at all times. We'll have eyes on your law enforcement at all times. Like that was a positive, and that's above and beyond. AI can report citizens behaving badly directly to who they need to report because they'll have eyes on citizens all the time. That wasn't a selling point for me. As much as I appreciate common areas having a camera in the event of a situation, I don't like it. I feel like it's intrusive, and I like my law enforcement officers to have a body cam on them. And I like that people can film law enforcement with their cell phones anytime they want because they're the American citizen and it's their rights that should be at all times protected. I don't like AI having this much power. And that was the selling point. And that's where I still think we need to deep dive into the AI plan.
It scares me, but it's coming anyway. It's coming anyway. And what scares me most about AI is its ability to replace us in our day-to-day lives. Okay. Fred says, look at the ugly but federal court building in SLC. God bless our sheriff who runs our jail. He is the best and beyond reproach. Our sheriff is a fantastic sheriff. We are a lucky few. I had him on, asked him a question. One thing that comes up often if you're talking to people who are anti-police, they will commonly call out where law enforcement officers ask for your ID when they have no reason to. They demand it under threat of arrest when they have no reason to. Our sheriff said, do not show them. So that's an interesting thing. That shows he's willing to be on the back foot for the Constitution, as is Fred. Fred is one of our former Sheriff's Department deputies here. And so I appreciate that. Me and Fred are both training pistols together and everything else. The best. And Fred is an outstanding guy. So yeah, I agree with that.
Our sheriff has done exceptionally well at the jail, but our sheriff is the first person to thank his team. And our very own Tula County's own was in DC during the inauguration, and our sheriff has posted that on Tula County Sheriff's Office page. I would thank all of you to follow that. Our sheriff is
I wish I had run into him there.
Yeah, he had a bunch with him, and they were protecting the streets of DC, and I loved that. I loved that when I went to Milwaukee. There were cities all over the country.
I do enjoy that everybody gets involved in that national thing. Fred says, thank you, Jared, for agreeing with me on amendments. Fred, it's that we're so impeccable, awesome people that we agree.
Here, share this.
Thank you, Holly, on your Fourth Amendment opinions. Again, from Fred. All right, everyone. That's the show. Thank you for coming on.
Okay, join us next week. We'll be on at 6 next week.
Yeah, we'll be on a normal time. Tonight, I've got a work Christmas party to attend.
And I have a birthday party tomorrow for my girl, Tanya.
Yeah,
so happy birthday, Tanya.
Everyone, keep your head up.
Let's
not fall asleep at the wheel, though. Let's remember even when someone we like is in charge of the government, we still got to fight for what we want to see. I want to see honesty in our government. I want to see a government that works for the people.
And I'm with you. Do we have anything on YouTube? We need to check our comments on YouTube really fast.
Oh, yeah,
because
okay.
I've told people to join us on YouTube.
Anyone's been on there. Nope.
Okay, you guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Sherry.
you, Mom. We love you guys, and we again appreciate you. And we are going to work on getting Senator Curtis in.
Yes.
As well. I'm still working on Governor Cox. I would
and
love to
Senator
do that.
Lee.
I haven't even reached out to Senator Lee.
Well, we're going to work on it.
I want those senators busy. And right now, our Congress and our Senate is so busy. So we'll try to get them remotely. I still really, really badly want to get Tim and Celeste on, because Tim, what's his last name?
Kennedy.
No.
Tim.
He's the best follow on X, you guys. He is so funny.
Oh, that other
Burchett.
Yeah, Burchett. She thought he had come on, but he had to cancel that night. And she said she's going to work on getting him on. And
you guys, he's the best follow on X. So go check out Congressman Tim Burchett and follow Celeste Malloy and follow all the locals, because you guys, if you just have to talk to him. Right now, Nicolene Peck is got a Nicolene Peck website. What's her Facebook page? Representative Peck. She's been on the show a few times. Go check it out. She's doing a poll right now. She wants to hear from you regarding your choice on daylight savings. The bills come up to the floor. Our floor has started. Our local government is doing oh my gosh, what is that word? Session. It was in my mind.
Session has started. Expect to see.
And she's got this in front of her. She's got to make a vote and wants to hear from you.
Yes.
So if you want daylight savings to go away, let her know. If you don't, let her know.
If you don't, consult your doctor. There might be a medication for you.
I don't care either way.
I do.
I don't understand. Like, why don't we just start school later on the days where it's going to be too dark? Like, isn't it they're trying to maintain sunlight? That's the whole point of it.
I don't care.
So why save it?
Just make it go away. And if you want to keep it,
I don't want any more time spent on it.
Yeah.
Make a decision. This comes up every year, and there's 10 million things they need to make decisions on. This one isn't on my
Holly's
list.
ring light shut off. All right, guys, have a good weekend. Yeah, I'm excited for the future, but remember, we got to stay
vigilant.
Yeah, we got to stay vigilant and stay frosty. All right.
We love you.
Changing the time twice a year is nuts.
It's a happy new year, folks. It's a beautiful time to be alive. So let's enjoy it.
Yes, it is. All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.